27. Aruba me tem uma entrevista super interessante. Puta vai tu lugar aqui. Você aceita é meta mesmo, não? Para pôr no programa para por seguro conscientizar a comunidade completa de que está passando. Me deve saber disso. Ora ma recebi e-mail com maleza e ma queda babucano, me dava tessa com Nos Cascabel porta na peliger assim, não? Tínhamos segundo estúdio grande tomando lugar. Me sabe algum de vocês, ai, colebra, pero não tá Cascabel é um de nós, nos mesmo Cascabel que daqui não soube daí. E prometo me vai mais de detalhes de estúdio de que o está passando. Nós amigo Roger de Aruba Conservation Foundation, onde conosco Roger, feliz tarde, welcome, bom menino. Tenho estúdio na XFM, para mim é prazer ter você junto comigo, para mim conversar, mas também vou educar. Tudo isso que estou escutando, não somente a mim também, mas queda babucam, não? Me minta sa, pero la gami puntrabo, portar pergunta, sali puntrabo, Nos Cascabel, tá na peliger?
Boa tarde, Terek, como vai? Sì, se contesta cortito.
Mi sali per un travo normal, lo che pregunta per mas a me sali per un travo. Nos Cascabel está na peliger?
Sì, eigenlijk sì, ma ne visto, quando lei pergunta marina un
No.
Pero
sin smanca le sai.
No, tabera Cascabel está na peliger.
Ok.
Maneira para mencionar, eta un sorto que acomvor solamente na Aruba. Que man é uma espécie endêmico. Isso aí que man que outra parte do mundo não vai encontrar. Isso é algo que eu não realizar.
Wow.
Dus é verdade, ora botou para cascabel é algo eigenlijk impressionante e do honor para por o WAC uno eigenlijk, não?
A minha opinião por essa brua e também mencionar parte boa nota de nós, correto? Isso é importante para informar.
Corretamente. Met bij die bia denk diferentie eigenlijk. So nós temos eigenlijk na Aruba 4 tipos de colebra. Lagami começar com bota classificar cada diferente. É bonito para WAC é diferente também ora. Nós estamos papel ora bijvoorbeeld de endêmico. Nós começamos com endêmico. Endêmico é cascabel é endêmico, por exemplo. Porque que é endêmico é convor trobe biama somente na Aruba. Depois de cascabel endêmico, botin nativo. Nativo também te convor na Aruba, pero na outra parte de mesma região também. Sei que men bijvoorbeeld na Venezuela of Bonaire, etc. Pero voorbeeld de culebra que é nativo é santanero. E depois nós também na exótico, espécie exótico, até agora está papo de blind eye snake. Antobra, esse é o que não sabe de mês, mas é também bicho, tá chiquito,
preto, não?
Quase binha eigenlijk, assim. Chiquito, não, é também santo, é também santo eigenlijk. Pero o que está passando, esse é bem com bastante exportação de santo, antobra, é a hora que não tem natureza, apresenta espécie exótico. De espécie exótico, botem invasivo. Então, o que significa? Invasivo é simplesmente espécie exótico, sowieso, que está threat para a natureza de nós. Que está fazendo diferença, impacto negativo eigenlijk da natureza. E essa é boa.
É boa, não?
Então, tem tu 4, é bonito para pôr de rei, mas é boa é problema de que nós estamos conhecendo.
Não, pensei, a mim, você e tem hora nós assim ocupado em vida diária, nós não está para quieto e mira. A mim vou pensar, a walk me não toca o último dia a mir cascabel.
Não?
Vou tomar aqui do dia, bro.
Mas não sabe.
Pero é verdade, é parte cascabel e ora vou para quieto e é verdade. A mim não toca o último dia a mir cascabel. Sei que bem que tem escassez de gente mirando com pouco a pouco é para extinct.
Não, o que eu estou mencionando é hobby bom, verdade? Esta parte verdade, pero verdade também tem pouco não toca de hobby.
Não,
me tem que busquei bom e tem biata passar para possibilidade, pero para encontrar para aí para nós para fazer o tipo de research que nós está fazendo. Maneira que essa significata que sai mais em trempang, 6 horas de veld caba, tá canaront busca o quem pode aqui co. Uma intermes nós na vai trobe e meu colega a Irani a toevallig.
Isso é problema, não?
Isso. Lá que nós estou by dessa, pero verdade é não tá fácil para encontrar. Pero que é o motivo eigenlijk? Não tá camuflar. Não tá camuflar, não tá blend in hopi bom com o environment. Com wake zomaar, não pode bij wake zomaar. E não tá val op eigenlijk. E o challenge, seguinte challenge também tá, é tem su ratel, right? Pero não tá bij ratel zomaar. Paso, que passa?
Ahorita sentia em peligro, correto?
Extremo em peligro. Para que passa? Eta depende hopi arriba su camuflage. Dus eigenlijk kita passa imaginar, bota passa banije, eta queda quieto, passa eta espera que bota diz passa banije. Que mas se é bem ratel, eta hasi su mes como te diz aware que hey, wak amitei. No mesmo momento que é que bisabo by dimi, pero
correto.
Pensei eu bia e nota use zomar. Dus também tá outro mais difícil para raia também.
Imaginavo. Ao segura que rato nós estamos conversando um documento com ele de parte Toledo Zoo, right?
Correto.
E ao que conta o projeto? Por mim que nós vai mais em depth mais e nós diremos que mais em estúdio. Que estúdio Aruba Conservation Foundation está sendo junto com Toledo Zoo?
Correto. Zij de Toledo Zoo é parte de nós. Nós eigenlijk wacht, verdade dat nós temos que check que está a população agora que nana e bawak se verdade está baiano miho ou está baiano mais atrás. Que está bambisa se inbreeding está passando of não. Você também tem peliger eigenlijk para a população. E essa é eigenlijk wat hasa door de DNA check. Dus research que nós está hasi ora nós gara cascabel. Sim, bota medir, nós está pisele, nós está check quanto ratel tem, nós está check a largura de rabo e mais importante nós está saca sangue DJ para hasi research. Aí nós está mandando meu colega nang back na América e nanta vai seguir processar essa aí. Dentro dessa aí vou saca hope informação para check verdade que está passando eigenlijk precies com a cascabel.
Uri, maneira para mencionar a que te processo onde vai tá estudando a população, correto? Pero se ainda não tem a data e de população, como você sabe que não está na peligro com a cascabel?
Bom, bota wake, não? E a trobe ora bota classifique mundial.
Okay.
Se bambisa outro tipo de espécie botinha opi mais lugar que diz central na isla working e ora a população tá mais grande, pero mundial na Aruba só está como for e na Aruba só acaba está tiki mas nem vou mencionar de mais bota wake.
Correto.
Sei que man se tá alarme acaba de by off na ku hey war rato quanto de verdade tem e estimation a working está plus minus 200 e
para full isla?
Aha, sei mesmo.
Dus je estimate ook ongeveer por 200 cascabel arresta.
Plus minus, correto.
Wow.
Dus ze tá na perspectiva eigenlijk com a costa baiana at the moment. Pero essa aqui naturalmente então
ainda ama que reportar 1000 by arriba. I don't know. Pero
lá me contar uma história pessoal me tá probando de eliminar lugar com nota. Então, nós estamos fazendo research, nós estamos começando mais para baixo, mais para norte, mesmo bisa. Nós vamos na richting Alto Vista. Então, nós estamos dando busqueio, sondeio e nada eigenlijk, e nós não há cascabel. De Alto Vista, nós seguimos para richting Cerro Cristal, e não pouco menos há cascabel. Pero, mas vai punter e ainda de bicendário, não pouco não está wake mais, não, pero não há mencionar-se que o tempo não está como for. Que você acaba pensando que a população está baiando mais e mais cerca de área só. Você acaba alarme eigenlijk por zona.
Wow, me queria estar agora para nós por conversar também com nosso amigo Matt e Nick de parte Toledo Zoo. I have a question. Did you understand anything we just said?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Cascabel, boa.
Dude, I said extinct in English just so you guys can kind of keep up with the conversation. Hi guys, Matt, Nick, welcome to XFM 102.7 and thank you so much for being here. First of all, the Cascabel. There's a lot of rattlesnakes around the world, but what makes Aruba's Cascabel so unique?
Yeah, so it's a very rare species that is endemic to the island, and it's, you can argue one way or the other, but regardless, it's only found here on Aruba. So it's part of the Cascabel complex, but what you guys have here on Aruba, it's really only found here, and it's another part what makes it unique is the mix of the wildlife, and you guys have a massive tourism industry and
Yes.
development, and so this kind of like human wildlife conflict and where these two meet, right? So it makes it an interesting species with some interesting problems.
Yeah, a lot of interesting problems. I've been reading about it, and I've heard, okay, they may be going extinct. So, how are you guys gonna be doing this study to see how many rattlesnakes, how many cascabels are left here on Aruba?
Yeah, so we're working with our partners, Jeff Gessling at Eckhart College, and we're out here doing some market capture studies. So what we're doing is we're catching snakes. We put tags in them to give them an individual ID, and come back out here and we try to recapture them. And it gives us like an estimate of how many there are. And we're also collecting blood samples to do this from a genetic standpoint. And it's a little bit of like black magic of how it actually goes down. But what it lets us do is it gives us an idea of how many snakes are in the population, and then we can use that information to start like monitoring, right? So we need a place to start to figure out how many there are, and then we can see, are they increasing, are they decreasing as we go through years, and that will really let the Aruba Conservation Foundation make some really good conservation decisions for the species.
All right, but when I was reading my mail, I was like, okay, I think this is so interesting. How are you guys gonna be implementing the usage of drones in this study? So I was just trying to think. I was like, okay, with a drone, you barely see people. But how are you gonna see all these rattles, all these cascabels, with their? I don't know. I tried to understand and say, okay, I have to ask this in the interview. How are you guys gonna be doing this? How is the drone going to be useful? I don't know. You guys know better. Tell me.
Well, so I think one of the words I recognized was camouflage, maybe?
Camouflage. Yeah.
So they're really hard to find. And so our partner, Paul Keenlance at Grand Valley State University, he usually works with mammals, but he's used a drone with an infrared detector to look for rattlesnakes up where we're from in Michigan and Ohio. And so even though our cold-blooded animals like to be the same temperature as what's around them, there are certain windows of the day where that's just different enough where you can see them on the thermal. So,
all right, okay.
Yeah, so like even though like we think rattlesnakes be the same temperature as the air, when they're coming out to bask or they're going to hide, we found even this trip is that there are certain times where you can't actually see them. And the drone we're flying is about 30 feet, and even at 30 feet, we found today that if you zoom in, we found a young of year. It was probably about 12 centimeters long this morning. And
you guys went up with the drone today?
Yep, yeah. And if we found what we're doing is kind of proof of concept, right? So we want to find a snake, park the drone over it, and see what we're able to see through the drone. And even when we're without the thermal, you can see snakes as long as they're kind of out basking. And so when they kind of give up that camouflage in a bush, it makes it easier to see. And so what we hope moving forward is that using the drone will be a really good way to help us with these surveys to either look at numbers or help us cover more ground, because it's rough going in some places.
No, I know. I was just going to ask that. All right, does it take a long time, or can it easily fly over and see how many cascabel there is?
That's what we're kind of hoping to narrow in on.
Because I'm just thinking the drone, they can go very fast, but that process it takes time, right?
Yeah. So part of what we're doing is working on is training ourselves, right? So what we want to try to do is set the drone up to fly a pattern, and then take some images, and then after the fact we can look at it like, okay, there's a snake, assuming they're out and about. But yeah, it's a like anything, it's a learning process, and there's we kind of stumble along the way, and we're hoping to figure it out and use it to help our population studies.
No, of course. And this study, how many years, months, weeks will it take to have some results?
It really depends on how good we are at finding snakes. So
it may take some years.
Yeah. So I think we're looking for a minimum sample of around like 30 for the genetic side of it. But as we see with all these studies, usually more is better. Because then you can answer more questions. You don't have as many question marks about what X, Y, Z. So it could take a few years to get to the point where we have the sample we need to make some educated decisions.
All right. So going back, we're talking about our cascabel is in danger, but what may be the reason why it's in danger today? Here in Aruba, do you think the tourism part? Do you think the overpopulation, the construction? What do you guys think may be the reason for this?
I think there are a lot of reasons, and typical of a lot of species. So, people pushing out into their habitat, right? So development, tourism, that kind of thing. But it's a weird balance of tourism because you want to encourage people to enjoy the natural world, but also, minimize the impacts they're having on the species. It's an island population, so there's a lot of, unique weather patterns, that kind of thing. And, some of the non-native species may be having an impact on them as well.
All right.
I think one of the other big things too to recognize is like life on the barranca out in the park. It's harsh. I mean, how many people have been out in the middle of Arikok during the middle of the day? I mean, these snakes are living there year round. That's a hard life.
Yeah.
So,
And I know for sure my shoes doesn't survive it.
yeah, mine either. I need a new pair every trip. But one of these things we think about is, these snakes have evolved to adapt to this habitat, but it still does not come without years of drier times, more droughts, less foliage. Maybe the food is scarce. Maybe just you have not enough animals that the males can find the female. So there is a lot of different kind of things working against the Cascabel. So honestly, the fact that they've survived here this long is really kind of remarkable. And I think part of the reason why we want to study them more and work with them more and really understand how we can have an impact on making sure that they persist here for a long time.
I just asked what was the reason, and after you guys finished the study, how can we work on the situation? So moving forward, as we know, there are situations, it's really hot out there for these cascabels, but what can we do to extend the population so there are more cascabels on the island?
I think, a big one is being aware of them. Human persecution, like killing them, has been a big issue with a lot of rattlesnakes elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's just ironic. You can see just a cascabel over there and they're freaking out, and sometimes I think they're not educated enough of the difference between a boa and, for example, a cascabel, and say any snake they want to kill them.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the problems I can see happening almost every day. You can see on the street a boa killed on the street every day, but the cascabel you barely see it. You don't see it anymore. So that's the problem. Not even on the street, nowhere. You don't see them anymore. All right, guys. But how can the community help with this study? That's a great.
So I think one of some of the ways people can get involved is be more involved and be proactive in what's going on around on the island. I'm not from Russia, so I imagine it's you've got a lot of the construction, but there's some of the things you need to have, and again finding this balance between the tourism that sustains things and maintaining the wildlife. Supporting things like the River Conservation Foundation. They're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that are here when we're not, and they're the ones that are doing the bulk of the work. And then simply just, what we found elsewhere is just taking a picture and reporting sightings. So we're really trying to understand the distribution of cascabel on the island, and we have limited time here. And again, they're very hard to find. So if people see them and they can, write down an approximate location, take a good picture and send it to and reach out to the parks. That really will help us out a lot in terms of understanding where they're moving, how they're moving, and then where they might be interacting with humans, where that might be a place where you could have some of these conservation actions, right? So if you identify these hot spots that might be problematic, then maybe there are some things we can do to mitigate those.
All right. Is there going to be any questionnaire surveys going around for the locals? No. For the study, no.
In the near future, definitely have some questionnaires to go around. But as Matt has just said, it's important to know our role in this game. No? So as you said, like everybody's aware of the boa as a threat and an impact, but people keep forgetting that we have other threats as well, such as ourselves, the building of the construction going on around, and as well like one simple one that's one of the biggest problems actually is cats. Our cats,
really?
Cats is a big problem. The cats tend to kill birds. Anything it finds. Remember, cats are a very efficient killer. It's very well adapted to hunt. But we're feeding it so it doesn't need to hunt for food. It hunts now for fun. It's normal instinct. So now they go out and they kill whatever they can find for play,
Fun.
for fun.
Yeah.
We all know it. It brings you the bird, puts it on your porch, or the lizard as a thank you form. But it just keeps on going. So we can do things to keep that in check. For instance, you can castrate the cat, or you put a bell on it, so when it moves, it makes sound, so the birds or whatever prey that's in sight can move or fly away and avoid being attacked. But that's just one. Our actions does have a role in this, and as well for our youth as well, we have to promote that science is a possible career choice in life. We're not seeing as many interest in the young generation for science, for going in conservation as well. So the more we have, the better. The more research we can do. Right now, around the world, I keep hearing this this normal thing being said that we don't have enough personnel. Everybody says that's in science. So we're lacking the people to do this kind of research actually. So more awareness and more pushing this direction.
Would you say the biggest enemy of the Cascabel is the human?
What would you guys say?
I would say so. I mean, if you look at them, they've persisted here for a long time. Humans are the main thing that has changed the environment, changed the population. So I think we can be its biggest threat, but also its biggest advocate and its biggest supporter. So, even just simple things like being an advocate for the Cascabel and celebrating this amazing rattlesnake we have here in Aruba. And you can do little things. I mean, you don't have to go and become a scientist and do mark recapture studies. You can just pick up trash, drive a little slower when you're going through the park. Things like that all have small but very impactful benefits to not only the environment, the ecosystem, but the Cascabel, the Kododo, the owls. It all works together. So the more we respect that ecosystem and all those species that exist in it, the better those animals are going to do for the longest time.
Wow, guys, thank you so much. That was a really interesting interview. Are there any more informations you guys want to give to the listeners who are listening right now? Yeah,
so I know there's been a couple questions just about like what is kind of the zoo role in the United States, and especially with Toledo Zoo kind of spearheading this. So currently I manage all of the Cascabels that are in the United States in zoos. We have about 35 zoos participating in this program. And there's actually about 104 Cascabels currently creating a sustainable secondary population in the US. So that has stemmed from within the 21st century, only 7 founder animals that were found without the park limits that went into zoos. We were able to breed those animals and reproduce them to the point where now we have a sustainable population with very good genetic diversity. So if for whatever reason something does happen to the Cascabel here, we have a secondary safety net. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, that's an important point he just mentioned, because it's a buffer. So if anything should happen, let's say a weird sickness would spread or a disease, and all of the Cascabel dies in Aruba. And this is really extreme, right?
Yeah, extreme. But basically they go extinct, right? Okay, let's say that.
But in this way, we have a buffer that they can provide us back with some specimen to keep that going, right? To not just let everything disappear. So
actually, the Cascabel is not the only one found in Aruba. It's in the States right now.
In captivity.
I wanted to ask that. So, so the mission is to keep them in captivity, right? It's not gonna be loose in the States. It's gonna stay in captivity and only for Aruba, right?
Correct. Yeah. So there is no plans to release them anywhere and start a new population.
Oh, because if you release them, it's not unique in Aruba anymore.
Yeah, we want to keep them here in their iconic presence as much as we can. But there are definitely hurdles that are going to come with if we do need to put a population back here. But hurricanes happen, wildfires happen.
Of course.
Humans happen. So this is just another way that we're looking at 20, 30, 50, 100 years of ensuring that the amazing Cascabel is still present for the next generation to come. And I think it's a great partnership that ACF, Toledo Zoo, and many other AZA zoos have really been so collaborative in working towards the greater good of this species overall.
Nice.
Yeah, as you mentioned, so it's not randomly done. It's not just we go and do whatever we want. Everything's controlled. There's strict protocols how this has to happen, and there's laws to prevent animal trading as well. That's called CITES in English and CITES in the Dutch. But that's a convention worldwide that prevents the animal legal and illegal animal trading, and this is in place to check people that love to have a rattlesnake in captivity, to make sure it doesn't be poached here and then transported and sold elsewhere in the world. Because again, it's a rare species, and people do want it to keep them in an aquarium or something to see it every day.
All right.
But yeah.
And I think another part to note to that, with our role in the United States, having these animals in captivity is not just to, have an assurance population, but it's also to celebrate this incredibly unique rattlesnake, and encourage people to come to Aruba and see them in the wild, see them in the park, and understand that habitat. So many zoos, including Toledo Zoo, are building these exhibits that are basically a snapshot of Aracac National Park, right? So now our visitors get to come in and see that little glimpse and think, I can't wait till my next trip to Aruba. I'm going to go and experience that.
So it's a win-win,
Absolutely.
Nice, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Matt, Nick, Roger. It's a pleasure having you guys here. It was a pleasure talking with you guys. Thank you so much for educating also all our listeners. I'm pretty sure a lot of them didn't know that our Cascabel is in danger. So, Shonang, let's help. Let's give a hand. Don't forget the Cascabel is so unique because it's only here and in captivity in the United States, but only there.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
No. Good. But I'm happy to hear you guys all are already working on this. And I hope we can solve this as soon as possible. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Aruba Zita wadang sinindi Toledo Zoo itambe Aruba Conservation Foundation. Unda kunang abing cerca no sinos para conversar un tiki inanga do na informação isyo na mitigo bise bruto maneta e Cascabel tá na peliger. Mais ou menos atravessar aqui um estimate portate 200 Cascabel aqui na Aruba. Também assim estúdio especialmente para por assim na mira população, não? Para estudar a população de Cascabel nang perdem se acaba na começar a trabalhar de tua maneira para por ter uma solução, não? Na minha maneira nang mencionar tem algum Cascabel de Aruba, atrobe com nota ser lagada em liberdade, especialmente caminda onda ku cima yang, com nós bate com no, ku bisa com noti mas Cascabel aí su fim na Aruba, ting Patrícia Aruba back e começar a população de novo. Pero me dá esse que é importante, se você mira Cascabel, não tenha medo de ama Aruba Conservation Foundation, bota vai do numang na estúdio aqui de Nos Cascabel, que é único aqui na Aruba.
X 102.7.
Step inside Saladas Casino, where the thrill of the